Hello, hello, hello. Just waiting on Greg. Oh, hold on. There you go. I had to add you in.
All right.
It sounded good now.
Excellent. How you doing, man?
Good. Let me just make sure I got everything recording here. I don't want to screw anything up. In live control room. Oh, I would ask if you're keeping busy, but I'll ask that in a minute. I think I'm good. So we'll do this. All right. So, you got it. You got it all out. You got the Corona.
Yeah, I got the phlegm. I had some spicy Dutch Crunch chips right before I popped in. So
what the heck are Dutch Crunch chips?
They're it's a company around here, but it's basically just kettle cooked. Like it was like before they called them kettle cooked, they called them Dutch Crunch or something like that.
Get those fancy chips.
Yeah. Well, we eat a lot of chips here, you know. We're connoisseurs.
Chips and cheese. So that it's not toilet paper everybody's going for, it's the chips and the Wisconsin cheese.
Did you see that thing that Mike Huckabee said today about wiping his ass with a corn of cob? With the cob of corn?
No.
He said something like, if you're out of toilet paper, just after you're done eating the corn, something, you know, he insinuated it and then said, just remember not to flush it or something. And we're like, wait a minute, did you just tell us to wipe our asses with a used cob of corn? All right, man. More power to you, dude.
Oh man. All right. Well, let me start this thing. We'll get down to business. Thanks, by the way, for coming on again.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
All right. Well, let me start off. Welcome to the Game Store Guy podcast. This is CC Game CEO, your host, and I have Game Trade Greg with me again today. Greg was kind enough to come on. So, Greg, what's going on there in Wisconsin? How's everything? Everything's normal, right?
Not quite, but hey, thanks for having me back on again, man. This is always a treat. This is always fun, and I have a lot of time on my hands lately. So we entered essentially what is a voluntary shutdown, I guess you could say. You know, we our state enacted an all essential business shutdown, all non-essential, although retail is considered essential. All retail. So we could have stayed open, but with the nature of the business, with buying things from people and selling it, we're such a hotbed for transferring, I just felt like it was like the responsible thing to do, not necessarily for my wallet, but for the community, because the weekend before, so last weekend, we had one of our busiest weekends we've had that was it was the busiest weekend we've ever had that wasn't a sale. And it was just, people were coming out in droves because of kids being off school, and like nobody was getting it. Nobody was trying to stay away, and nobody was trying to distance themselves. I mean, there was probably a point we had 30 or 40 people in the store, just jammed, asses to elbows, It's like, it was like the only responsible thing to do, as crazy as it sounds.
Well, I'm not as responsible as you because I'm still open, but we haven't had that order yet to close. But I'm kind of curious. So you said all retail is considered essential for you guys?
So our governor, when he made the mandate, they had certain exceptions, and one of the exceptions just straight up says retail. So they didn't specify anything else, except that they said indoor malls shall close. So all of the malls were required to shut down.
Right.
Which is funny because we do have kind of a busy mall here in town, but malls are dying. So it just shows you how like old the people are that are writing these things, because they're like, oh yeah, let's shut down the malls where all those kids are hanging out all the time.
Yeah.
It's not really happening.
Right. The malls are usually some of the deadest places.
I think my store is busier than half the mall stores.
Yeah. The mall here in my town is it's like a ghost town. I walk through there, and like most of the people that are working there are standing like out at the front of the store, and it's almost like they're like, please come in, give us something to do. There's like nobody in the stores. Oh, so you just made the decision on your own? Like, were your employees feeling weird? Was it you feeling weird? Like what?
I was gonna stay open. So this was timeline. This was Tuesday morning. I was gonna stay open, and I had talked to another game store about a half hour south of my store, and they kind of looked to me a little bit as the guiding light. He's been open 4 years, but I've been open 9. And then there's another guy south, another half hour, and he's been open. He just opened in the summer. So, there's this kind of, they look up to me sort of thing. And so they asked me about it, and I told them that I thought, and this was Tuesday morning before the mandate came down. I said, well, I can't really see closing. I said I could see restricting some things, and the one guy from Appleton, Zach, he said, hey, I'm thinking about closing, but I want to have a unified message so that if I say this is what's right and I want to take care of my customers and you don't do it, it doesn't like put you on blast, And I thought that was really fair. And I said, well, give me a couple days to think about it, and then we'll talk again on Thursday. And then I got home, because I basically give them chocolate bars to sell for the charity for the Extra Life stuff. So I dropped off a couple boxes. And so I got home that afternoon, and that's right as I sat down on my computer, I saw the mandate come through. And it was just a game changer. So then at first when I read it, I thought it meant we had to close. And then I read it closer, like, well, we don't have to. Technically, we could get by on the GameStop technicality, and
you mean you're essential to surviving the apocalypse?
Parents will murder their kids if they don't have video games, so it's essential to their survival. And so after that, I decided to have an emergency store meeting. So I picked up one of the guys, because he lives near me. So I picked him up, and we went to the store where the other 2 guys were working, and the 4 of us just kind of punched it out. And what's funny is they all were very professional about it, and I could tell that they all wanted to say what I wanted to hear, which was, yeah, we want to stay open, man. Like we can make it work. And we talked about that. Like we talked about logistically how we would make it work. And it was okay. We have to have somebody watching the door, and then we have to only allow so many people in the store at once. So we'll have to have bouncers at the door, and then we will have to either turn away all trades or be super picky. And before we even get the trade, like wipe it down before we even take it, all this other stuff. Right. And then we thought, well, is it even, worth it then? If you can't have customers buying stuff in the store and you can't buy stuff from them, it's kind of like the whole business, And so, and the mandate that we got was no more than 10 people in a store at once, and including employees. And so we usually have 2 to 3 people on at all times. So if we had 3 people there, we can only have 7 customers in the store at a time. And man, I didn't realize how few people that is until Wednesday, when we had already made the decision to close. There was one point where there was 1 family in there, and then 2 other people came in, and that was it. That was the 10 people, So it actually was a lot easier than I thought it would be to make the decision. What's a little more difficult is dealing with the knot in my stomach about it, and I don't know if you feel this way. And because like I feel like a lot of my motivation for how I work was driven by the mentality at GameStop. I actually will give them a lot of credit for that. They kind of told you like when I first opened, it was just me working, and I worked 6 days a week, 12-hour days for 2.5 years, just because I could never close.
Right.
Oh, it's a snowstorm, get to the store. Oh, you're sick, just go to the store. And I can't tell how much of that is my own personal work ethic or how much of it is still that GameStop, like no matter what, you have to open. Like you don't come in late. You can't be sick because you don't have anybody to replace you. Your hours don't count towards payroll, like all that stuff, and so ultimately it was like, man, my whole team says they'll make it work. But did I take like a little humanity away from them? And so then I actually made the decision, even though they all would have been okay working, I made the decision just to shut it all down.
So are they okay with, are you paying them? Like, what are you doing for, are they doing anything?
Yeah, I'm going to pay them. They're salaried. So I'm going to pay them their salary.
Okay.
And then early next week, we're actually going to do a full store inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And then essentially a title on hand. So we're going to do both of those things, which are things we've never really done before. Like we've done inventories section by section, but we're going to do a whole store inventory. So I'm going to get about 3 or 4 days of work out of them next week anyway.
You mean you didn't do the GameStop method where you just come in one night and go through the whole store?
Well, I was going to call the 10 other game trade managers from the area, get them all on their own time to come in and help out. But
I do not miss that.
No, I don't either. Was your DM into well, because he's your business partner now, I think. But was he into late night inventories or early morning inventories?
I don't think I ever did an inventory with. I did an inventory with him when he was learning to be a district manager, like before he was an actual manager. So he was more like a store manager that went to other stores and helped out for a while.
Oh, sure.
And we were more like co-managers at the time, but I never had him as my official district manager during an inventory, which is weird. I worked there for over 10 years and I had like probably 12 different DMs. And he was only one for a short period of time. But I worked with him before he was a district manager. So
it's probably why you guys are still partners and friends today.
Probably why too. Plus, like we worked together for so long that we were like, I can shit on him and he could shit on me. Even when he was a DM, he still looked at me as like an equal. He was trying to get me promoted. It just would never happen because I had the worst luck when I worked at GameStop.
And think about that now. I think about that a lot because I was always a lifer. And I would have, as long as I had been moving up in that company, I would have stayed.
I would have too.
As long as I had that opportunity. And look at it now. Like if I had stuck in for 9 more years, my goodness,
Yeah, I'm glad I got out of there. I feel bad for the people that are there now. I saw like on Reddit today, a bunch of people were quitting because of their, asinine policies refusing to close. Yeah. Now, like me, I only have like 3 employees now besides me and my business partners. We have 5 people total at our store. How big is your store? Like how many square feet, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, not at all. It's 1,800 square feet. 1,800. Like
so I got 2,500 square feet. So I'm nice. a little bit bigger. So it's, I think the most amount of people I had in there today was maybe 10, but at one time. So we were doing pretty good at keeping people spaced out.
Good.
But we had one of our busiest days ever today, sales wise, and it was bigger than Black Friday, which is kind of crazy to me.
Man, that's nuts. That's
so crazy. Like I me and my business partner and our employees have had this chat, and I said, look, if you guys don't want to work, that's fine, but we made the decision we're going to work until they say to close it down. But it's not me that really wants to stay open. My business partner is really dependent on it. So
yeah,
I mean, he needs the he's got like 7 different kids, so he's got 2 of them in college at the moment. So yeah. he needs the money more than me. I would be willing to shut it down for a while, but I think we're being pretty safe. We got 8 million cleaning supplies. We're not really taking trades except for maybe the occasional system, but I got gloves. We're spraying everything down before we even touch it. So I don't know. I think we're being about as safe as we can be. I know we're pushing it a little bit, but it is what it is, and as long as we're not forced to shut down, and I got a GameStop like within a mile of me, and as long as they're open, I feel like
Yeah.
I have to be open. So
Well, and especially with you doing new games, I mean,
that
you
was
had
the
Doom and Animal Crossing, like,
yeah,
it
that
was a
was the
big
other
deal.
thing. I was like, if you're gonna shut us down, at least wait till the freaking weekend so I can get all these Animal Crossings out the door. And people were calling like, what would happen if you shut down? I'm like, well, if we shut down, like, look, me and Ryan, we'll be in here doing things. Just come in. We'll, come to the door,
Yeah.
knock. We'll take care of you.
Exactly.
So we we had it all planned out if we closed ahead of time that we were at least gonna take care of the people that had it reserved and all that stuff. So yeah, people were really worried, especially Animal Crossing. Oh my God, that was like the biggest game in probably the last couple of years to come out.
I had to go to my store this morning because my UPS was delivering my Animal Crossing, my personal copy. And so I basically went there and I put a sign on the door saying if you're UPS or USPS, knock, because we've had signs up now since Wednesday
Right.
saying we're closed until April 3rd. And so I wanted to make sure the UPS guy didn't leave, and he actually pulled in and he's like, "Hey, I saw your Jeep." So I wanted to make sure that I
Mhm.
stopped in. I was like, "Okay, cool. Thanks, man." Cuz like, and although it's really funny cuz then I went to this like Walmart to get some food and stuff, and then they have their copies on sale for $49 there. I'm like, "Oh, I should just cancel the Best Buy one and bought it there." But
Yeah.
but I got my copy and then got home, and
I have a theory on that too. I think I think once GameStop goes away, Walmart will go back up to normal pricing. It's just my, they might not, but
I'm not sure who they're going after, because what's also weird is I went to get Neo 2 last week,
Mhm.
and that was full price for PS4, it was $60.
Weird.
So anything that's published by Sony gets no discount. But
Well, I will
it's
tell you,
weird.
like, have you noticed that too on Amazon? Sony and Amazon have always had a little spat going on for the longest time. Sometimes you can't even like pre-purchase some of the Sony games at certain times of the year.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they're never ever cheaper. Like even when Amazon was doing the crazy pricing, the Sony games were never cheaper.
Because I know they got in a tiff with Nintendo with the 3DS stuff
Mhm.
for a while, and the consoles, they weren't even carrying them for like a few months. They just didn't carry the consoles or something while they figured something out there. But
Well, the other thing that's kind of helping me is people do not want to go into Walmart now because Walmart is so crazy. So
yeah,
like people, if they just want a game, they're not going to go into Walmart, go all the way to the back, try to get a hold of some old lady to go open up the glass cabinet to get them a game.
Mhm.
And even for, a little bit cheaper, they'll still come to my store.
Well, I was in the electronics section and grabbed that Animal Crossing, and I know the guy who was working back there because he always lets us know. Because our Walmart, the guy in charge of the video game department or electronics department, he gets, like this sheet that says you can discount so many things like per quarter, like put stuff on sale, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so what he'll do is they do like a purge, like every 6 months, they do a purge, and they'll take all the games that are delisted in the computer that are not actively being restocked, and they'll mark them down to crazy prices. I'm talking like $5 a piece.
Yeah, you got the hookup.
Yeah, and so the guy calls me every time. He's like, "Hey, we just marked down, 200 games," and I'll go in there and I'll buy them all.
Oh.
And so I was chatting with the guy a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, here," and he put it inside of a case, like a plastic case, and said, "Here, you can just pay for it up front." And I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." And I go up there and I'm trying to use one of those, scan and go lines. And there's like 3 people behind me with full carts, like everyone. And I only had like a mini cart that was full. And all of a sudden, like I have to wait for an associate to come over and like unlock it. And it's like this little old lady, and she's like, "I'll get it." And she walks away with it to unlock it. I'm like, "Oh my God." And everyone in the lanes giving me these like dagger eyes, like, "Well, what's taking so long? Why don't you move your ass?" I'm like, "Sorry, I don't know. Scan and go, dude."
There's when I had my Port Clinton store, Port Clinton, Ohio store, there was a Walmart across the street, and it was a smaller Walmart, and they would do that. They would put stuff on sale, and I had to go. I felt like I had to go in there like every day though and double check, and I would rob all the cheap games too.
Yeah, last summer it was every day we were going there. It was crazy.
Yeah, if I didn't, then people just buy them and bring them to me, and then I end up paying more. So
yeah, and that was always my mentality was, I mean, I'm going to get these either way, so I might as well get them for that price instead of paying a little bit more. But
So I saw you posted something about rent today. So what was that about? Were you asking your landlord what was going to happen?
Yeah, so on Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, I got an email from just a generic email from the company that owns our building. It's called General Capital or something. It's based in Milwaukee or whatever. It's no big deal.
Mhm.
And they sent this thing out, and it's the same generic email you saw from everybody,
Right.
and it doesn't mean anything to me. It's like we just want you to know we're monitoring the situation closely. We're having discussions about how to handle the situation. Like that's just BS words, like
Mhm.
it doesn't
It
mean
is.
anything. And so I sent an email and said, "Hey, I'm very curious," because at that point we had decided we were going to close. And I said, "Do you have any plan in place, on any sort of rent freeze or anything like that, or what's your plan for the businesses that are trying to be responsible and say we need to close, because of, the nature of our business and everything." And,
Mhm.
even if it was voluntary, obviously if it's mandatory, it's different even, but since it was kind of voluntary. And so I sent that email out, and then the reply I put on Twitter today was actually the first email I got back from them, which was like this, you know, "Hey, appreciate the info. We've tagged your point of contact person in the email as well. And we just want you to know, like, we certainly hope that you'll be able to pay
Yeah.
rent." And I'm like, well, yeah, that's a given. Like, I mean, I hope I could pay rent too. But it was just the way they worded it was really weird.
It was pretty funny.
And so I laughed at it. It was funny because I think I put it up there and I thought it was just kind of funny. And I think a lot of people took it as one of those, like, I was crashing the, like, boo corporate, boo landlords, boo. I was like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, no, that's not what I was doing. I was more just thought it was funny that they were like, "Hey,
Yeah.
with all things said, we really hope you can pay rent." Like, well, you duh. Like,
I know better than to even like contact my landlord. My landlord, for one, I would get my landlord's a Chinese guy, ironically, but he's a nice guy. His name's Don Wong, but he speaks very broken English, so I would have a hard time even understanding. His emails don't make sense half the time, and I wasn't even going to attempt it. I just know the answer. If there's a close down, he's going to expect the rent on the first,
yeah.
no
Well,
matter what.
yeah, when I talked to them today, I got a call, and that was funny. So I sent another email this morning, and that's what kind of started me. That's why I made the tweet, because I sent another email this morning that was like, "Hey, I haven't heard anything. Can we follow up with this?" And then then I put that tweet out, and then before I had heard a reply, and then I got a reply from them saying, "Hey, you're on the list. I'm going to call you later today. I've just got to go through some people." Basically, he made a list of people with issues that he wanted to call my contact person. And so he called and we talked it out, and there's still no answer,
Yeah.
and I told him flat out too, I was like, "I'm not looking for a handout. Like, I'm not trying to say you need to take all the risk and all the,
Right.
all of the expense. I'm like, I'm just curious if you're having these conversations."
Well, I have another friend who has a store in Columbus, Ohio, L1 Games. They have a YouTube channel too, but he was doing a video the other day, and he was talking about how his mall made the decision to close before they even had to, and he was like, "I'm not paying my rent. They decided to close. I'm not
Yeah.
paying." So that was on them. I can't sell. So
Yeah, and ultimately, I'd like to think that in some aid package somewhere they're gonna, because it's not
right,
that it's easy or good, but they can do a rent freeze, they can do some other stuff, and
yeah,
if they do a rent freeze, they should just reimburse the businesses. Then, like, I'd like to see the government reimburse my landlord, and then have my landlord just give me a freeze. Like, that makes
right,
more sense than just giving me the money, like having me fill out, "Oh yeah, I lost
yeah.
$6,000 on rent," But
It kind of annoys me when they bail out Wall Street to like $1.5 trillion, but small businesses, oh, who cares? We'll give you guys a loan if you want a loan.
yeah.
But you got
Well,
to pay us back.
the worst part too, my mom sent me a link on Facebook, and she said, "Check this out." And it was, "Hey, this group in Madison is offering small businesses of employees of 20 or less. We're offering them, this grant program." And so I went to their site and I said, "Yeah, sign me up for more info. I'd like to know more about this." And I get an email back a couple days later, and it's, "Oh, well, we don't give out the grants, but this other company does, but you have to be like a signed charter member of that organization." It's some bull crap something.
Yeah.
It's like, so there's a whole bunch of scams and other trash coming up now too. And you just, it's whatever. And I when I thought about closing for 2 weeks, I ultimately have in my head that I think we'll probably be closed closer to 4, because I think they're going to do a mandatory, like, no
Mhm.
holds barred sort of close coming up here in the next couple weeks.
I do too, and I don't think it's necessary though. That's the only thing. I know. I think I might be a little bit more I don't know, positive on the whole thing. But I was looking back at when you messaged me on Saturday saying asking me if I had a good day, and I said yeah, it was crazy. And I go, I hope they don't do a government, non-essential government shutdown. And you go, I don't think it'll come to that.
Yep. I man, what a fluid situation. It changed by the day. It was by the minute, by
and
the hour.
I was actually listening to Dr. Drew today, from Dr. Drew MTV.
Sure.
And he was like, I don't want to kick conspiracy theory or anything, but he was saying it's not as bad as they're making it out to be. And he even said, this was a few days ago, his podcast, but he said if by the weekend we're at under 100,000 people with it, we're doing good. And he goes, I think he said he'll think it'll be at around 20,000. And I think right now we're around 15 to 16,000. So he's pretty spot on. And he had it right. He said like swine flu, like 10 years ago, 500,000 people died of it. And nobody that's around the world, but like nobody batted an eye. People don't even remember it. And this is a little worse. Yes. But he was okay with shutting the schools down, limited to like 50 or under. He said even 10 or under, that was a little excessive. Because, but now it's getting crazy.
Yeah, and it's that's what a lot of people don't understand either, is that it's not about, like, you shouldn't be fearful if you're our age, a little younger.
Right.
Don't be fearful of getting it and dying. That's not what it is. Really what it comes down to, and this was part of the issue in Italy, but really what the issue came down to was if too many people get sick at once,
right,
there's no room in the hospitals for them all. So what they're trying to do is they know that eventually half the country is probably going to get this before the vaccine comes out, as long as they don't all get it at once. And so that's why even a 2 or 3 week shutdown just slows it down enough where then the people admitted are less, But
what's the time frame, like, really, on flattening this curve? Are we talking over a year? Or are we talking, over the next couple of weeks? Because I just can't see this happening I can't see people putting up with being on lockdown for months, to be honest. Especially, I made the joke today, like, there's no way in hell America's going to lose football season.
No, and if you look at it though, too, not that they're the shining example of how to do things properly in this situation, but China's already shut down all the temporary hospitals they had to build just to handle the people.
Right.
So if you look at that, that's essentially like a 3-month, like a total to like reduction. So if we do the reduction that they didn't do right away, we do it earlier, which we are a little late on it, I think. But if we get that reduction in place and we slow it down, then the most I would see before having to shut down like temporary hospitals would be 3 months, which we haven't had to build yet. Mm-hmm. So we're already ahead of the curve there because they had to build temporary hospitals right away. So many people got sick so quickly that they were like, boom, now we got to do pop-ups.
We have hospital boats though.
And the Army Corps of Engineers, like they can build hospitals and parking lots of hospitals. Yeah. So it's not like, but they're not doing it right now. And that is something that once you start to get overflowed and then you do it, that's when there's a backflow. And what's happened, and I don't know how true this is, but the horror stories coming out of Italy are there's a 70-year-old man on a ventilator, and then a 30-year-old man comes in, he's sick, and they have to take the 70-year-old off to put the 30-year-old on. Then like they have to make that decision, as opposed to being able to say, hey, both can be in the hospital on a ventilator. So.
Yeah, that's sad. I hope it doesn't come to that. And I don't know, just like even Italy right now, I think they're sitting at about 6% of people that have had it. So I don't know. I don't know if I buy the whole 50%. I don't know what the time frame is. Are we talking like over a year or 2 years,
Yeah, I think by the time there's a vaccine, I think it'll maybe have been to about 50% might have gotten it, but that's certainly not a death rate by any stretch. But I don't know. And so
I don't know.
That's what I try to tell people too. The whole thing isn't like a rah-rah scary sort of thing. It's if we can, and I think ultimately this lockdown is going to last for a month. If it lasts for a month, then, and it slows the curve enough where then as people get sick, people who were sick come out of the hospital, people who are sick go into the hospital, it should all level out. But that's ultimately, and then they, because a lot of the stuff is saying it won't all be fixed until end of summer, and you're like, well, yes, but we're also not looking like that's not really what the problem is. Not getting it. The problem is not everyone getting it at once.
Right.
But yeah, I'm with you on that. So like there's an appropriate amount of fear and panic to have. So don't go overboard. But of course, don't lick airplane toilet seats either.
Oh yeah, I saw that on Twitter. What the hell is wrong with people?
Hey, we got people talking about it, man.
Yeah.
But I agree. I look at that and I'm just like, my head. Maybe
So
I think it's okay if we lose a certain percentage of the population.
right. So speaking of losing a certain percentage of the population, I know we kind of briefly touched on GameStop. What the hell is GameStop doing? What are your thoughts on them like refusing to close? Do you think it's just because they will absolutely go under if they close too many stores?
I don't think so. It's how it's always been.
You think so?
I'm not surprised at all with this. And I know it's not the same thing, but man, we get some blizzards up here, and they used to tell us, well, you can close if your anchor store closes, and anchor stores never close. And then in a strip
Right.
center, they'd look at the closest big box, which was Walmart, and they said, "Oh, is Walmart closed?" No, Walmart never closes. So we never closed for terrible weather, tornadoes, stuff like that. They're just like, well, stay open.
Now that I think about it, did you close? Were you working on 9/11?
I was there. I was a third key at the time, or no, I was assistant manager, but I was there. I went into the mall. I had the closing shift. I was there at like 1:00, and then as I got there, they announced the mall was shutting down, so I got sent home. But I was back working the next day. I don't remember.
I had to go in and opened, normal time, 10:00, and I had one customer all day. The mall never closed, and my like assistant manager, nobody was going to come in that day, so it was like just me. I had to work all day by myself. I had one sale, and they would not let me leave. They would not let me close because the mall refused to close. They're like, you only close if the mall closes.
Yep. Yeah. And so I look at this stuff and I go, that's how they've always been. It's always been, don't close unless you have to. And then, they're a company that's struggling, and you know what you need to do to fix that? You need to have employees who are bought in and willing to go the extra mile and help. Yeah. And they're just throwing the employees of the wolves. They don't care about them at all. And they have valid concerns,
right.
and these valid concerns for their safety are not being addressed.
Did you hear that conference call? Did you hear
I did. I listened. And you know how much I hate Camelot too.
I do. I don't like him either, but yeah.
So for me to listen to that whole thing was painful.
Yeah.
But I did it, and that's exactly like the sort of thing I expect though. Like I expect GameStop to their corporate level to be on lockdown, but to understand that the stores have to stay open. And I mean, it's how it's always been, man. It's always been like, the store level's always been like, the corporates offer all holidays, corporates offer Black Friday and Thanksgiving, and all the stores are coming in at 5 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day, and it's always been very hypocritical, I guess, where corporate was held to a different standard, and so then you get corporate people trying to explain the situation to people working in the store. And imagine that as a worker, you see the CEO of your company release a statement saying how we're going to send extra cleaning supplies. We're going to take care of our stores, and then be in a store that didn't get anything.
Yeah.
And you're like, this guy's just lying to people, or he's wrong. And which one is it? And they're stuck in the middle, again, as always.
I bet that's one of the cases of he says, hey, we got to get our stores like equipment and supplies, and he tells somebody to make it happen, and somewhere along the way, it's not happening. Yeah. But nobody wants to tell him that it's not happening.
The warehouse probably had like 500 bottles of hand sanitizer, and like, oh, what 500 stores get these? You know, and and I'm sure someone was like, well, get on the order train, and then they went like the rest of us. A week or two ago, and we're like, let's get some some cleaning supplies, and there's nothing on the market.
It just gets to a point where they're just getting hammered on like social media, and just in general, it just looks bad. Their stock took a hit because of this, and I don't know. I don't know what the right.
I said on my podcast, I was like, the Reggie news was like the first positive news they'd had in years. Like the first positive trend, the first positive anything, and it didn't even get to, what did it go, a week? After a week, it's just, now it's like the worst. It's worse than it's ever been.
I didn't ask you about this, but I'll ask you what your thoughts on Reggie are. But everybody was asking me, and I said, well, I don't see him making that big of a difference because he's just on the board and he's more, just making suggestions. I also said, I think this is like, I'm going to rag on my own team. It's like the Browns. Even if the Browns got Tom Brady, they're still the Browns. They'd figure out a way to screw it up. So
well, I feel pretty much the exact same way. I mean, Reggie is only there as like, one, for the positive press, and two, I think for staff morale, I think he'll be at conference and he'll probably do some speeches and maybe do some GameStop TV stuff.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, he's going to have no say in anything. And
Right.
unless he somehow brings in some sort of relationship between GameStop and Nintendo for their, for their birthday party themes.
Yeah, I can't believe he even joined on. I bet after this week he's like, what did I step in? What did I?
Oh, wouldn't it be amazing if he resigned from the board like after a week? Oh my
God, that would be horrible for him. But I mean, I just can't believe he even joined. I was like, man, he's got such a good reputation. This seems like a huge step down to me.
Yeah, and if he had taken CEO, I would have been saying the same thing. I'd have been like, this is crazy. But being just a member of the board, like Shaquille O'Neal's a member of the Papa John's board. I mean, it doesn't really like it's a lot of the times it's just like a status thing and it's
it's just a figurehead.
Yeah, it's nothing.
And I always said a lot of people don't know this, but Nintendo of America really they don't have any power. It's all Nintendo of Japan. Yeah. So like Reggie was more like in charge of distribution for Nintendo of America and he was more a figurehead and, he went on TV and he did all the cool stuff, but he really, as far as like, deciding how the company went forward, that was Nintendo of Japan.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. There's nothing that he did that was like his own ideas that he brought to the table. Like he was the messenger for Nintendo of Japan.
Right.
And he delivered that message very well. And it's funny because a lot of people talk about him being the savior, but he was around for the GameCube era, I mean, it wasn't like he showed up and invented the Wii and then carried Nintendo to financial success. I mean,
and then the Wii U, and then actually speaking of Wii U, people kind of give him shit for Wii U. I'm like, that wasn't him.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty good idea. It was a good system.
Yeah. I just did like the name of it was terrible in my opinion, but.
Yeah, exactly. The marketing was a flop, but that was also not Reggie. I mean, all that marketing did not come from the United States. That's for sure.
No, the name didn't come from. But Reggie's a great salesman. He sold all that no matter what. So
yep. And I like that I say this all the time. Like he was really good at giving us the information, not sounding like a hype man marketing guy, but also saying it in a way that was still entertaining to listen to. So he sounded like a businessman, but a businessman that was into it, so I kind of liked that. Kind of like Jack Tretton was kind of the same way, like from Sony. Like I always really enjoyed that halfway mix between businessman and like marketing guy.
So speaking of Sony, how disappointed are you in the PlayStation 5 like announcement? Like, or maybe you're happy. I don't know.
I actually think it's pretty fine. It was definitely a GDC presentation. I'm more confused as to who greenlit that for public consumption.
Exactly.
Because that was the most not consumer friendly presentation I've ever seen. But then they added some hokey stuff like the shadows in front and like, what the hell is this? Like, it's just a piss poor presentation, and Mark Cerny's really smart guy. And I like getting the information from the actual architect of the PS5. I love that. I like knowing that the guy who built it is the guy who's explaining it. But it was dry, it was drab, and it, like I said on my podcast, it wasn't meant to be the Michael Bay of announcements. It was meant to be to a GDC crowd, but it I don't know who greenlit that going to the public. They should have done what Microsoft did and just released like a spec sheet and like a video with all the specs on it. But I think part of that was that knowing they were gonna, for the console warriors out there who were going to argue teraflops, they couldn't just release the info because then they would look like they were losers. They had to come out. I think they felt they had to explain why. And ultimately, they explained why in the most boring way possible.
See, that's my thing. That's like my part of my problem with Nintendo too. And they have those Nintendo tree houses. Like they have the most boring people on the planet doing them half the time. It's just it's so like Disney-fied. It's so like, I don't know. It's so cutesy and like just make it a little cooler, I don't know.
Yeah. They'll never shake that and like friendly look. They just don't want to.
Right. And like Xbox, Phil's a pretty cool dude. So like when Phil comes out, it seems a lot cooler. And usually Microsoft's pretty good at making presentations. So yeah, that was really bad by Sony. And the thing that bummed me out, that it's not really backwards compatible with the old stuff, which I had a feeling, and I've been telling my customers for a long time, yes, I've heard that rumor. Nobody hopes more than me. I go, but just, I wouldn't expect it, just, I tried to tamper expectations, but my very, very bare minimum expectation was that every PS4 game would work. And now that's not even the case.
Well, did you see the like info that came out today?
No.
So apparently Sony like revised their statement
Mhm.
and said that there's already hundreds of compatible games that they've tested, and there's going to be thousands available by the time it launches. It's just, I think and this was what was lost in the poor marketing messaging, was that it was just the games that were going to be optimized for PS5. So games that would be essentially Xbox X enhanced. Like,
Oh, okay.
that's apparently the top 100. But
Gotcha.
that's not what he said. He said by launch, we're very excited to have most of the top 100 games playable on PS5. And it wasn't just playable. I think it meant enhanced by, because like the
Okay.
statement they released today basically said that they've already tested hundreds and they're going to have thousands tested by the time
I hope
it
so. 'Cause
launches.
I was like,
Weird stuff.
yeah, it was weird. I was like, no, you're only gonna have like, am I gonna have to make a section in my store of which ones work and which ones don't? Because I already have that for Xbox One. And
Yeah. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, the exact quote was, here we go. I brought it up here real quick. So, a quick update on backwards compatibility. With all the amazing games in the PS4's catalog, we've devoted significant efforts to enable our fans to play their favorites on PS5. We believe that the overwhelming majority of the 4,000 titles will be playable on PS5.
okay, good.
So it's weird though, but because Sony's way better with their marketing and their messaging normally
Mhm.
than that. So I don't know, like, I don't know. The whole thing was kind of a botch with the way they presented the info,
Yeah.
and then clearly, like, it wasn't meant for consumer
Yeah.
consumption, and they fed it to them anyway. So
Yeah. Hopefully they'll come back with something better like soon. And
yeah,
what's the bizarre thing with them not wanting to show what the system looks like?
I don't know. They may not know yet. They might have like 4 designs that they haven't decided on yet.
Huh.
And they're still kind of like, maybe they're still doing focus testing, focus groups.
Mhm.
But I agree. Like, I wanted to at least see it. I wasn't expecting a price. I was pretty sure they wouldn't, but to
Yeah,
see
me
it
too.
would have been really cool. But yeah, you never know. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks it's going to be delayed till 2021, which is why they haven't shown it.
Hmm.
But it is also only March. And I want to say they didn't reveal what it looked like for the PS4 until May.
Mhm.
I think when they did like their price reveal and that was like right after. But
Yeah.
again, I don't know. I mean, I don't, everything they're saying is that there's no delays yet in the process based on anything that's been going on in the world.
Yeah.
So take them for their word, I guess, for now.
So what are you playing? What games you playing lately? I heard you say you bought Neo.
Yeah, I've been playing Neo 2, and then Animal Crossing I picked up today. Other than that, nothing really, man. I've been in a drought. It's been weird. Like, our house has been kind of crazy. We've got like one of our cats is having some medical problems, and like there's just been a lot of chaos in the house with different things. Like my sister-in-law is supposed to get married in the UK next month.
Oh,
Like, she's from the UK. We were supposed to go there next month and fly. So there's a lot of stuff obviously with that going on, like
yeah.
uncertainty. And so it's, it was just kind of a stressful time where I was like, I just want to lose myself in some TV, just watching some crappy TV shows and stuff.
On the positive side, you could probably get some cheap tickets.
You could now, yeah. I mean, they actually, because the State Department said yesterday
Yeah.
or 2 days ago that they strongly advise against travel.
Right.
And if you're overseas and you want to come home, you need to come home soon, because or make plans for an extended stay overseas,
Mhm.
which tells me that in the next week we're going to see a complete international travel shutdown. But,
Yep.
But
Oh.
so that would suck.
I've been playing Neo 2 as well. I suck at that game now.
Nice. That game is very hard. It's
Terrible. I am terrible. I like can't beat like the easiest things sometimes. I swear the game is like so punishing. Or am I just that bad? Or are you?
No, it's very punishing, and if you play by yourself, it's infinitely harder.
Yes, I'm playing by myself. So
And so there's little tricks you can do. Obviously, you can summon in people to help you, but you can also pull up those blue swords,
right.
and they'll help you. And those take those cups, but you
Mhm.
get those cups by defeating the red swords. So if you never should be out of cups, and so, but there was one boss I got stuck on for like 3 hours. I just was struggling to beat it. And so, and I kept trying to summon people and nobody would join my game. And I was getting all pissed off. I'm like, why is no one joining my game? And then I started playing last night with two friends, and we're playing through the game. Basically, it's my one buddy's first time through, and we're playing through it all multiplayer the whole way.
Mhm.
And it's so easy. Like, I mean, it's still a hard game, but it's infinitely easier. Like, it's much more tolerable.
So what you're saying is I don't have any friends and I need some friends.
You need some friends.
I
Yeah,
need
that's
some friends.
and the multiplayer works very well. It's not as kind of busted as Dark Souls was, where you can only
Mhm.
summon them in and then you beat a boss and then it puts them away. You sit in like a little lobby and then you pick what mission you want to go on.
Yeah.
And I'd already beaten like 15 or 20 missions, and my friend had just started. I made the game, I picked the mission, and it counted for him in his story mode. So you don't have to do like this rigmarole of like he has to start the game and then he has to pick the mission like a lot of games do, in the way they do their progress. And so it's actually it's quite pleasant to play. Actually,
well, that's good to know though that you need. I just need to play with some people. So what's your quick thoughts? Did you play any Animal Crossing or you just have it?
Yeah, I played it. I played about 3 hours today. I even streamed it for about 2 hours right before I got on here.
I'm sorry, I was busy. What did you what'd you think?
I like it. I liked Animal Crossing for the GameCube. It was when I first moved to Green Bay, that game had just come out. I just moved to Green Bay, didn't really have a lot of friends yet. And that game was like my best friend. I was playing it all the time, and I was there for like every event, and I refused to change the date on my GameCube. So like I would make sure I had to be home for certain events, and I'd like rearrange the schedule so I could be there for the Moon Festival and all that stuff. And so I did all that and I loved it. And then the DS one came out, and I just don't like playing on handhelds. I never have, I never will. Yeah, so I didn't really like it. I didn't even play New Leaf. And then this one was coming out, and it's a home console. Essentially, I could play it on my TV on the Switch with a Pro controller, and it's awesome. So I really like it. It's cool. The only thing I don't like so far is it uses the real-time clock.
Okay.
Also the real-time date. So I started playing today. I played for 4 hours, and I ordered a bunch of stuff in the game, but it takes a day to deliver it. It's literally a real-time day. So I can't get those items until Saturday. It's weird. And so I was running around after 3.5 hours at the beginning of the game going, there's not a whole lot I can do. I mean, I can go fishing, I can catch butterflies and then sell them. Like I could make a bunch of money, but they're like, I couldn't build my house yet because Nook the Crook takes a day to deliver it. And then, but it is fun. I mean, that first 3.5 hours were amazing. And I'm also playing by myself, and I would love to play that game multiplayer as well. But we'll see when I play tomorrow if that cycle of fun where you can do certain things. But if I feel like I can only play 2 hours a day and then I have to wait till the next day, and then it becomes one of those games where you log in, you play for a half hour, you do your quote unquote dailies, and then you log off. It's that's gonna be kind of stupid to me. Like I don't want it to be like that, but
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they keep it fresh over time.
Yeah. And they have said that because it relies on the date and you can't change the date. So it must, when you first log in, it must note the date, and then it keeps track on its own based on the date it was when you started it.
Now, like, since I'm a noob and we might be trading these in, like, does it save anything is it all saved on your memory card, or does it write anything to that cartridge? Do you know?
I don't. My understanding is that it saves to the SD card, but I'd have to look and see.
But you can't. What is the deal with the accounts on there? Like only one person can have an account per game or something?
I think it's
per Switch.
Works because I read about it. I want to say per game, per Switch. God,
I should know this, but I'm not an Animal Crossing guy, so
yeah. And I know I read it, but I forgot. I want to say it's something along the lines of you can only have one village.
Oh, that's Switch. What it is. That's what it is. Yeah.
But then I think you can have each profile can have a house in that village.
Okay.
And then obviously, if you're online, people can connect to your village.
My one buddy, I'm sure, who will be listening to this, he has 4 kids, and he got 3 copies of the game. I think he's maybe 4 or 3 kids. I can't remember. Sorry, Ty. Can't remember how many kids you have. But he bought 3 copies of the game. He has 3 Switches just because of that. I was like, can't your kids share? And he's like, oh, this game, you got to have, one per person because they each want to have their own village. So crazy.
But a good game. Yeah. And I would love to play it multiplayer. I know I could probably play it online with some people, but now I don't know how it works where if I start with my character and go to their town, do I have to start all over again? Or do I get to like transfer my house or something?
Well, I'm going to play some Neo here in a little bit, but I've been playing Doom as well. Did you check out Doom Eternal at all? Is that anything? You into shooters or no?
I like shooters. Mostly competitive though. I'm not really a fan of single player shooters. Like I never play the Call of Duty campaigns or anything like that.
Did you play Warzone? The new?
I did play some Warzone. But yeah, like I didn't like Doom 2016, so I'm not going to play Eternal.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well,
It's
part
not
of
your
it,
thing. That's fine.
well, I think part of the problem was playing it wrong. And I know it's gonna sound weird, but when I first started, like when people were telling me to play it, a friend of mine had said, the whole point of the game is that it's really fast paced and you need to kill enemies faster because then they'll like give you they'll regen your life so you can kill more enemies. And so I actually was, when I started playing it, I was like trying to rush through it. And I was like, well, this is actually the wrong way to play this. Like that,
Yeah.
whoever told me that was wrong. And
Yeah.
so, but not, so if I'm going to play it, I need to try it again.
Yeah,
playing it the right way.
there's almost like a rhythm to it. I know that sounds weird for a shooter, but like you want to like, shoot guys, you want to get them to where they light up and then you want to finish them off. When you finish them off, they'll drop health. So
Yeah.
like if you keep doing that, it's very, very repetitive, but I don't know why. I love the game, and Doom Eternal is just more of that. So if you didn't like 2016, you probably won't like Doom Eternal, but I'm loving it. I do love Call of Duty Warzone. I really like the plunder mode. I kind of enjoy that the most.
Plunder was great, man. Yeah, like me, Jordan, and Jeremy actually all played. We all played one night, and we only played for like an hour or two because Jordan's dog wouldn't stop ringing the doorbell to like get out.
He has a doorbell. Wait, I can't stop. The dog has a doorbell.
Yeah, so whenever the dog wants to go out, he can like ding a doorbell and they'll let him out. And it's to go pee or whatever.
Yeah, that's awesome, but that would be really annoying too.
Yeah, but apparently there was like a neighbor dog was like barking a lot. So then that his dog wanted to go out and play with the neighbor dog, so kept hitting the doorbell. And so he'd go over there, he let him out, brings him back in after he pees, and then 5 seconds later, he was nonstop hitting it. And so it didn't bother me at all, but it was like really bothering Jordan for some reason. So he's like, I gotta go after this game. But no, it's good, man. It's fun. It's
what are you playing on? What system?
I play on PC. Like all my shooters, I gotta have a mouse and keyboard. I just can't handle the controller.
That's cool. We need to hook up sometime and get into a game.
Yeah, buddy. Anytime, man. I'll pop into that. Jeremy's usually good to go, or Jordan. We can always find our third.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm semi decent. I'm not the greatest, but I'm good. I can hold my own.
Yeah, I'm not very good. But I mean, you know how the shooters are. You have to play and get used to how everything works and then know where you're going. Cause that's kind of my problem is I'll be sitting in a building and then I won't realize that there's like a back door or that there's a window where you can see my back or something.
Yeah. You almost have to know the maps inside and out before you're really good.
Yeah. But and I don't even have Modern Warfare, but as far as Warzone goes, I think they did some great stuff with the BR. I love that they did the Gulag thing. I think that's brilliant.
That's cool.
And there's a lot of ways to like get back into the game, which I think is awesome. It's not like PUBG where it's like, oh, you started playing for 5 minutes and someone shotted you, so you got to watch your team for 20 minutes,
Right. I like in the Gulag, I'm usually aggressive. I think I've only been I've won almost every match I've done except for two, because I'm just like super aggressive in the Gulag. And most people, for whatever reason, they're not. They're kind of timid. I like that you can get back into the game the one time that way, and I like that other people can buy you back in, which is kind of cool. But I think a lot of people don't even know you can get bought back in, and they die and they leave.
Yeah, probably.
Like when you're playing with randoms, they just like take off.
Yeah, I'm definitely over my playing with random people phase of any game. I won't do it anymore.
Well,
I'm done with it.
I don't have any friends, so I play with randoms a lot.
Randoms, man, it just kills me. I was playing I don't really play any MOBAs except for Smite. It's the only one I like. Mm-hmm. And I had played it for a couple years and I gave it up for like 5 years and I went back to play it some more and played with a few friends, had a great time. And then I played another night, just me and one friend, and we had to pick up 3 other people. Yeah. And it was just like, man, here's the trash talking. Oh, we're not good enough. Oh, and this guy knows everything. Oh, we're not following his rules. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I hate that. You know what? I just thought before I let you go, let me ask that. I got a question. So, do you play much with customers?
No.
No.
So,
is there a reason? Because I have a reason why I don't. There are a few that I play with, but
well, this is tough because you don't want to insult anybody.
Right.
But ultimately, a lot of my personality and the way we act in the store, a lot of customers, I think maybe we're more than that relationship. Like it's not customer employee, it's friends. And I do like people think that way, and I'm not trying to mislead them.
Right.
But me personally, if I call someone my friend, it has to be somebody who I really could rely on if I needed them to. Like my level of what a friend is a lot higher. My friends are essentially my family, people I would rely on.
Right.
And so like I don't use that term very lightly. Like if you ask me, I'd say I don't have very many friends. I have maybe 5 friends that I would ever call my friends because they're the people that I would rely on and could rely on me. And but then I would say, but I've probably got hundreds of people that think I'm their friend or that are friendly with me. And so every now and then a customer will cross over into the friend zone, I guess. Like this isn't the negative friend zone, it's the positive one. And that's cool. And I've had maybe 5 or 6 customers over the years that have become really, really good friends that I've met through the store. And then, but there's a lot like my personal Facebook page. I try to use it just for family. And I get invites from customers all the time, like friend requests, and I feel really bad, but I don't accept them. And I like to try to tell them, like if I ever see them in the store, I'll say, hey, I just want to let you know, no offense meant. I just don't use Facebook much, and I use it only for my family and very close friends or whatever. And I actually had somebody one time. He admittedly said he was on like some pain medication, so he was really upset. But it was like a Sunday night at like 11 p.m. He started messaging the Game Trade page. And was just kind of like, hey, why don't you accept my friend request? Hey, Greg, where's Greg? Why haven't you have my friend request? And I was like, hey, man, and I explained everything like I just said it here. And he said, and he's like, oh, so I'm not in your like top 100 favorite people. Like I spend so much money at your store and I'm not your favorite. I'm like, oh my goodness. And it has nothing to do with that. Like I know a lot of people that have spent a lot of money in my store that I would never spend a second with outside the store, because of how they act. And that's, and then there's also, like really, really good people that don't spend any money in there, but they're really good people. And that's all that really matters. So, so to play games with them though, like it's weird because now I'm mixing it with the drop rate stuff. Right. So then I do drop rate with Jeremy and Jordan, and I want to promote that through my most famous piece, which is through Game Trade, but I don't, because drop rate, I get to kind of be myself. I don't have to be Game Trade Greg. I get to be drop rate Greg. As stupid as that sounds, right? It's kind of like a Marshall Mathers Eminem sort of situation. And so drop rate Greg, I totally am just myself. I just like on that podcast, I drop F-bombs. I don't care,
Right.
For the Game Trade Greg stuff, like that's my work persona, I guess you'd say.
Gotcha.
And the real me is somewhere in the middle,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't often. It's happened because of the drop rate servers. Like sometimes people who are customers will find us there and then they'll watch the podcast and they'll hop into our Discord server. So it does happen. But how about you? Is that something that
it's the
you're
same
tapped with?
Yeah, it's the same. And since I've been like streaming and stuff too, I get more people to come in and they want to hang out and
So you got plenty of friends. What are you talking about? See, you got all these.
Yeah. But one of the main reasons I don't when we first opened, I'm always pretty good at football games, and I would play football games, and I would play Madden, I'd play NFL 2K, and I was playing Madden, and this guy, every day he'd come in and he'd want to challenge me, and he'd say how good he was, and finally, so like after months and months, I finally played him in Madden. I beat him like 50-10, and the guy never ever came to my store and shopped again.
Oh wow!
After I beat him, he was like so embarrassed that I kicked his butt that he didn't want to shop at the store anymore. And it was funny too, because one of his friends like would still come in. I was like, is your friend ever going to come in again? He's like, I don't know. He goes, you embarrassed him pretty bad. And I'm like,
that's crazy. Though.
I'm like, I guess I'm never going to play a customer again because it's just not worth it. I wasn't even being like, I wasn't being a dick. I wasn't trash talking. It just, that's the way it worked out. And the dude just kept trying to pass, and he got so far behind. I'm just picking him off left and right.
Yeah, you made him desperate, and then
yeah. And from then on, I was like, I'm not gonna play customers. But also, all the stuff you said too, all that stuff is pretty similar experience. That's why I just thought of it, and I figured I'd ask you.
You could have let him win. But then you had to listen to him brag every time that he came in the door. So really, you might have come out as a net positive.
True. But I mean, this guy, like, he trash talks so much for months. I wouldn't play him. I finally gave in. I played him one day, and So
one time when we first started Drop Rate, we originally had like it was 4 people originally, not Jeremy. So it was me and Jordan and 2 other guys, and one of those guys, like the only game that I brag about her. There's 2 games I brag about how good I am. It's WWF No Mercy for N64.
Oh, I
and
love that game.
And it's Tekken Tag for PS2. Like, these are 2 games that I promise you will not touch me at. And it's the only game that, I mean, I'm not really that arrogant. So like if someone says I'm really good, I'm like, oh, cool, man. Like, I'd love to play you sometime. As opposed to like some people, like you said with that guy, he like this one guy, his name's Trent. He was part of Drop Rate, or in the early days. He's now since left. And he was kind of bragging about how he's like, no, seriously, man, like I will destroy you. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, but I'm telling you, you're not going to destroy me. At best case scenario for you is it's a really good match. Best case scenario, like worst case scenario for you, I'm going to just stomp him. And we actually did a video. It's on our YouTube channel of the first time we played. I'll find the link for you, man. And it's like, it's the room. So all the people are watching and it's me versus him. And I just beat his ass. Like, it was raw, dude. It was so fun. And I just and then he started saying some great stuff. Like, one of the things he started like, he's getting all mad. He's like, oh, well, you're just using the same combo. It's all like,
yeah. Like the guy in the game of Madden, he goes, I don't feel like I got beat that bad. And his friend's like, it's 55-10.
It was like, hey, it's like the 49ers and the Packers, man. The Packers didn't lose by that much, you know?
Yeah. And the worst part was when I beat him, I used the Browns and he was like one of the better teams too. And he's like, the Browns aren't that good. I go, I know the Browns suck. Trust me. I
was trying to handicap you, dude.
Yeah.
I was trying to handicap myself, dude.
Yeah. Well, I that's what I always explain to people. One of the reasons I'm really good at the football games is because my team has always sucked. And if you want to win, you have to overcome their suckiness. So you have to play almost perfectly.
Is that what the coaching staff feels like in Browns country, right?
I don't know what it is. I think we've had some of the best coaches in history, and then they come to Cleveland and they just become stupid. I don't know what it is. So I don't know. We've had the worst coaches in the history of the game. We've had the best too, but I think they might be all right this year. I'm gonna knock on wood, cross my fingers.
I'll knock on some for you too, man.
I think they'll be all right. I think I'm not gonna say it because every year I say they can't be any worse, and they get worse every year. So
it's Stefanski, coach?
Yeah, Stefanski from the Vikings.
That's right. That's right.
I actually like that guy. So that was
the guy that doesn't like to run the ball, though, right? Isn't that the guy?
No, I forget. He got us a fullback already. He wants to run. He got us an extra tight end. We're gonna be running. He ran more two tight end sets than anybody in the league. So I think we're gonna be running a running team, which is what we need to be.
Well, yeah. I mean, Chubb's like monstrous, dude. Like, they should build a team around him. You know, did OBJ stick around?
Yep. Yeah. So we'll have OBJ, Jarvis on the outside.
All right.
Yeah.
I'd say that's 2 better receivers.
I'm trying to remember the tight end they picked up, but he's from Atlanta and he's really good.
Yeah, Hooper, right?
Yeah, Hooper.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted him on the pack bad, man. Like a tight end like that. Although, because they let Jimmy Graham go, obviously, which was the greatest thing I'd heard all day. And then, and they've got a couple good tight ends that are apparently like waiting for their breakout. And then they re-signed Mercedes Lewis, you know, but he's a really good blocking tight end, though he's not really, but man, they're talking about going after Ebron, and all this stuff, and going after Hooper. I'm like, God. And both those tight ends are like, oh, I'd love to play for Rodgers.
And we got Conklin on the line, the guy from Tennessee. Yeah. So they're making some moves. I'm excited. Hopefully they don't screw it up. They will.
Let's talk again in January, and we're gonna play this clip.
Oh God, it's gonna be like Groundhog Day, but no, I think they'll be all right.
Well, in all sincerity, I always want people's teams to do well because it's more fun to watch, and I want you to enjoy watching your team.
My second team is Packers, though. My second team is Packers.
Well, and I'll tell you, I'm always a little nervous about the Packers, too, because last year, I don't want to say it was a fluke, because they were winning games, and you win games by winning games.
Right.
But there was something about those wins that none of them felt decisive and awesome. And so they could either go the other way where their same wins become decisive, or they go the other way where now they lose all those divisive games.
The good teams find a way to win those games, and then the bad teams, like my team, find a way to lose. So the Browns are the greatest at snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. You know how many games the Browns had wrapped up and then they would blow? They're the
yeah. Hey man, it's a hard knock life, you know.
Yep. All right. Well, I will let you go, but once again, great chat.
Hey man, it was awesome. Thank you as always for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. And yeah, I can talk with you anytime. And I hope you're not too. I hope it's not too long before you get back in your store. So
Nah, I don't think so. And like I said before, I've been planning for an emergency for 9 years. You know, I've got a nest egg, and what I might do if it ever gets too tight, I mean, I could stop taking a salary for a month or two and I'd be fine. Not that that's in the grand scheme of paying all of those guys. It's actually not that much, you know, but yeah, you know.
Yeah. I'm good for a while. If we shut down, I could survive. So I'm good. I hope I don't have to. I hope for my business partner that we don't have to. So
yeah, that'd be unfortunate. And there are a lot of businesses that are going to suffer from it. And so
there's
on the
a lot
other
of
side
businesses
too,
that aren't going to make it because of this. It's
yeah,
scary.
and I just hope that whatever relief comes, they think of the, you know, businesses under 100 employees, because you always see that like, oh, this is for small businesses, and it's always small businesses of 500 people. I'm like, that's a small business. Is that a small business now? Okay, what about like us? You know, 10 people, 5 people, you know, 20 people at a restaurant. You know, like, and the restaurant industry, man, they're getting just
they're getting hammered. Yeah,
I mean, and that's tough, man. And there's so many people that in the last few years have opened up their own restaurant. Like I see it all over town. You know, oh, we left.
Yeah,
we left this big restaurant to go out on our own, you know, and
there's one here that I don't think is going to make it, and it's really sad because they're a little mom and pop and they're great, but I think they made enough money to, you know, put a little bit away every month and pay their bills and keep in business, you know, and now they're really hurting. So
yeah, this is like, I braced for an impact, but it still doesn't make me happy that I'm going to lose, you know, like I had this milestone of my bank account. I wanted to hit a certain amount and I was going to be like, oh, this can be great, man. I'm just like, I'm almost there. And I literally am like so close. And then this all happened. And now it's going to be another year before it gets.
Do you think about maybe selling some stuff online or whatever during the downtime, or?
I thought about it.
Nah.
I think what I'd rather do, and obviously this year's a no-go now, but I'd rather just go to Midwest Gaming Classic every year, set up a booth there, and then just sell some stuff there, and that'll be like where I do those weird and rarities and stuff. But and don't get me wrong, if I was in a position where the store would close if I didn't make these extra things, I would do it. Like I'd be there still doing like the one customer in the store at a time, you know, to get some sales, and I would totally be doing that, you know. But it's thankfully not that bad.
When is Midwest Gaming Classic?
Well, it was supposed to be April 3rd. 4th and 5th.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it's been canceled. Yeah. So this year it's totally out. And I was going to go to it as a fan this year and then go next year as a vendor. Gotcha. So I have to decide now next year if I want to go as a vendor or as a fan, and then do the next year as a vendor. But I think I'll go as a vendor. I just got to find like 3 people to help me run the booth. And
where is that one at?
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
So for you, that's probably like a 7-hour drive.
Maybe I should come as a fan sometime.
Yeah. Or if you ever want to share a table or something, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to haul everything up there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Bring like 30 of the rarest things, and that's it. And then just like enough to get you like a couple G's out the door.
People pay a lot at those things too. You can usually get a little bit more than
yeah. And Midwest used to be like really fairly priced. When the first year I went, I felt like everybody was right where they should have been. And then last year it was, man, everybody just scrimping. And
I went to too many games last year, and it was funny. It was a 3-day event, and the first 2 days I was like, man, these prices are nuts. And then the third day, when people didn't want to haul stuff home, like the deals are like crazy.
Yeah, one of the vendors recognized my assistant manager Dom from the internet show Name Tags. So like he recognized him, so he was giving him all these discounts. He's like, "Oh, I love that show, man! I can't believe I'm meeting you." And it's like, it wasn't really that big of a deal, man. I mean, it was like an old like mid 2000s internet sitcom, you know. But,
cool.
But again, yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I always appreciate the time. It's always a great chat.
Yeah, it always goes way longer than I think it's gonna go. But thanks again. I'll let you go. Stay safe out there. So
you too, buddy. Take care.
Yeah. See ya. Bye.